Hello everybody, my name is Alex and welcome to another Crash Bandicoot video. Today I'm starting a series of videos where I talk about things I want to see in the new game because I thought it'd be cool. So I'm going to talk about the antagonists today, the baddies, including Cortex, Crystals. Is that a terrible impression? But I'm going to talk about the antagonists today, what kind of antagonists I want to see in this game, including the bosses of every level. And after this, do make sure you let me know what you think because it'd be cool to have a chat about them. So a couple of things. Firstly, these are a mixture of characters from the trilogy, some characters that we haven't seen in games like this before, and secondly, a big thanks to Cameron for bringing this idea to me because he encouraged me that it's finally time to talk about this stuff. So to get us started, I want to talk about a couple of the obvious ones. So I'm going to say Uka Uka and Neo Cortex because basically they have to be there, right? Uka Uka has basically got to be there to shout at Cortex more than anything.
According to this, your track record for spreading evil is pathetic.
And also to play his role in the evil plot. And also Cortex is a perfect villain for the Crash franchise, so he's got to be in the game as well. I also think, and I don't want to talk about the story too much in this video because I want to talk about that in the future. But I do think with Cortex, he should be the final major boss fight of the game. Brilliant baddie, isn't he? So he's got to be there. However, in the hierarchy of antagonists in the game, pretty much dominated by Cortex and Uka Uka at this point, I want to see somebody else introduced. And this person, I think, should be a brand new character. My thinking to this is some sort of evil rival to Cortex, because as we saw in Cortex Strikes Back, as we saw in all the other games, surely at this point Uka Uka is getting pretty sick of Cortex's failures and wants somebody there to sort of guide him a little bit, to rival his position as the dominant evil mastermind. I'm thinking somebody who Uka Uka sees as a safe pair of hands, someone who's going to allow this evilness to actually get off the ground for once, and Uka Uka cannot just keep investing in Cortex. He needs somebody there to sort of look over him and maybe pull the strings a little bit. Now obviously Cortex isn't going to like that, which is part of the reason I want another villain. I want somebody who's going to rival Cortex to see what that brings out of Cortex. Is it going to drive Cortex to even higher levels of evil and even more brash ideas? I don't know, but it would be cool to see that dynamic. In regards to how I would design this character, I'm thinking very much a sort of general, a wise general to watch over Cortex. Somebody that's almost like Entropy, you know, that British accent, somebody that's quite clearly upper class, knows what he's doing, thinks he knows everything. I'd quite like that, somebody quite arrogant, somebody quite up his own backside sort of thing. Though I want to save my story ideas for another video, what I will say is that I don't think this new character should be just in the kind of base game as a standard boss. I think defeating this character should be only possible when you 100% the game. So the next topic to look at is the Elementals. Now, if you don't know what these are, I have wrote it down. They are evil witch doctors who put their spirits in mass. So they're basically just kind of Uka Ukas. They're like Uka Uka, but there's a group of them and they're called the Elementals. They were imprisoned for being very, very destructive and evil. And they're also supposed to be quite powerful. Now, they were a big part of Wrath of Cortex, the original Crash 4, and if you think back to the trailer we saw a while ago, the PlayStation Play whatever trailer, and we have that mask in that nobody still knows what it is, there could be some suggestions that something like the Elementals will be in this new game. It would make some sense. But do I want to see them? Well, there's not really a straightforward answer. If they're in there, I think I'll be happy enough, but what I would say is that, from what I've seen of Wrath of Cortex, I don't really want the boss battles to be exactly like that, you know, with fighting Crunch all the time. So I would like this game to be different to that. I would like the whole system to be different. So if the Elementals are there, let's use them a bit differently. Let's use them with different bosses rather than just one reoccurring boss. By the way, if you are enjoying this video so far, please do remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, sort of share it with your friends, share it on other sites, that would be amazing too, and let me know what you are thinking in the comments. Anyway, now we have stopped talking about the more niche stuff, let's talk about the Big 5 boss fight. By the way, I'm not including the Cortex boss fight in this. I'm presuming maybe we could do that as an add-on, but these are 5 bosses I definitely want to have to fight in the next Crash game. So the first name on my list is Tiny Tiger. Now I say Tiny Tiger because although I do want new characters in this game, I definitely think it needs new blood, whether that be a new character like I talked about earlier, or a character from a different part of the universe which I'll mention in a moment. Although I do want that new stuff, I would quite like some elements of continuation, because I think people need to be familiar with these games. Yes, add new bits, but make it very familiar. Make it a lot like where the Insane Trilogy left off. Having some reoccurring antagonists from those games is a very good way of giving that continuation. Now, Tiny was in 2 and 3, and for me, he's just kind of a staple of the original trilogy, a reoccurring villain, one of the more memorable ones in my opinion. I really like him. I feel like his character and his personality is quite apparent. He's basically a 5-year-old in a super strong tiger's body, which is weird but also memorable, and it's fun to defeat, so I definitely want to see Tiny Tiger back. That was such a bad jump, Alex. That's rubbish gameplay. Carrying on with this theme though, the next name is Dingodile. Now, Dingodile's first appearance was only in the 3rd game, but he's one of the more memorable villains. I think he's even more memorable than Tiny Tiger, because he's basically a mutant dingo crossed with a crocodile, right? Which, that helps you be memorable. He's memorable also because of his dominating Australian accent, and also because he's horrible to penguins, making him a horrible person, because everybody knows penguins are brilliant. So he is a staple now of the villains, and a villain I really want to see back. The final thing I would mention with Dingodile is you could use him in a multiple of ways. So obviously he carries a flamethrower, which is quite useful in a battle, but he also can use tail attacks. So we could have multiple ways you could fight him. So he could not just be a memorable character and someone cool to bring back, you could also have a pretty immense boss battle with him as well. Next up is Engine. Now, a lot of the same things apply for him that apply for the first two, obviously being memorable antagonists from the original trilogy. Engine as well is probably more memorable than the other two. The one thing I would mention with him coming back is that I love his boss battles in 2 and 3, especially the 3rd one. I think it's absolutely brilliant and very different to the average boss battle we got in the trilogy, so I'd like him to come back, and I would also like a boss battle similar to what we have there. The next name on my list is Nina Cortex. Now remember, I did say I don't just want all Insane Trilogy characters in this game, so this is where I introduce somebody a bit different, someone I think will be very popular. So I put Nina Cortex here, and there's a few reasons I've put Nina in. Firstly, she's an absolutely brilliant character. She's one of them characters where you can just look at her and you can study her behaviour, and you just know she has evil running through her veins. She would really take the evil in the antagonist. She'd take it up a level, and I think that would be immense, and that's the kind of thing we need here. Her character design is also some of my favourite I've seen in the Crash universe with the new games. I think she designed absolutely brilliantly. The other thing I would mention, and I'm sure I'll go into this more with my story video I'm hoping to do in the near future, but if we're talking about Cortex getting a bit of a rival with a new character and somebody that's trying to kind of pull his strings a little bit, surely he would want to introduce somebody to him into the circle who is loyal, and definitely loyal. And there's no real better way than doing that than to introduce a family member, so her inclusion would not just be brilliant, but it also kind of makes sense with my ideas. The final person I would like to fight in the game is Dr. Nitrous Brio. Now the problem with Brio is you never really know what side he's on, which can make things kind of tricky. But with him siding with Cortex in the mobile game, maybe that's giving us a bit of insight into what he might be up to in a new game, obviously siding with Cortex in there too. I'm not sure, but what I would say about Brio is he's amazing. He's definitely one of the best antagonists in the Crash series, and I would definitely love to fight him again. So I hope he is a baddie really, and I hope he's a boss fight. Now, I do want to give a couple of shout-outs to a few characters that definitely could have been on here and who are definitely cool, but we can't have everybody in, obviously, so the Komodo brothers could have been on here, they very nearly were, but I just went for people that I feel have better personality in my opinion. You are definitely entitled to your own opinion. And the one character who I absolutely love, in fact, this antagonist was probably my favourite from the whole trilogy, Dr. Entropy. I just couldn't put him in there. I just felt like, with this new character being a sort of British, upper class, up his own backside general, isn't one kind of British accented psychopath enough for one game? So obviously a big final mention to the wonderful lab assistants who get dressed up in pretty much any attire. We've seen them as all sorts, including wizards, which are my favourite. I'm sure there'll be plenty of fantastic lab assistant designs, and I'm kind of really excited to see what they do with them. So yeah, I'd add that on there for sure. So that is it for the antagonists I want to see in Crash 4. Oh god, I really hope we get an announcement soon. But who do you want to see? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Also check out another one of our videos. I will leave it somewhere on the screen. Could be anywhere. Make sure you share this with a friend because that would be absolutely immense and help us out so much. Also, like the video and subscribe for more from myself. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Alex, and I will see you in another video soon.